and welcome to Online for Authors. My name is Tina Hogan Grant, and today my guest is author Adele Royce. How are you doing this evening, this afternoon?
It's technically still morning here. I am doing great, and thank you so much for having me on.
I'm excited to talk to you. I finished your book this week. You are a new author to me. Summer's Blood is one we are going to be talking about, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was a lot going on in that book.
There was a lot of action, right?
Yes, it had me engaged. But before we get into the book, can you just give us a little background to yourself?
Sure. So this is my fourth book. I started writing. I've been writing my whole life pretty much. I worked in the PR and advertising and marketing business my whole career. A lot of it was spent on the Las Vegas Strip. So I was writing basically everything, press releases, media plan, whatever, business writing. But I loved creative writing. I was an English major in school, so I read a lot of classic literature. But I really started getting serious about writing novels probably about 15 years ago. Oh, wow. And that's when I started to write the first 3 books in my first series. And then in the last 5 years, Summer's Blood.
Wow, congratulations. So you've written a total of how many books again?
I have 4 books out that have been published, yes.
Congratulations. And Summer's Blood came out June of 2024 this year?
That's correct.
Okay. And without giving too much away, can you just give us a little background of what the book is about?
Well, sure. It's really about a wealthy ad executive who lives in LA. And he has this shattering moment where he discovers something involving the death of his brother that happened 30 years ago when he was an adolescent on his father's yacht. And that discovery pulls him into this odyssey of Las Vegas, and where he has to deal with a lot of shady characters in order to uncover this truth that he needs to find out about his family and to sort of free himself and others. And it's a very, very tough risk and a high stakes tale that he is embroiled in this craziness. As you said, there was a lot of action going on and a lot of things that were happening, and to sort of, but the story is really a story of my main character, Craig Keller's healing and to find the truth. And it is a thriller and a mystery. And that's a new genre for me, by the way.
Oh, it is. Well, you did very well. You're a natural.
Oh, thank you so much.
What I love about the book is it just keeps you guessing. There are so many questions, and I wrote this in my review. I had so many questions as I was reading the book about Craig, about DJ. And that's what kept me engaged. And that's what kept me turning the pages, because I wanted those answers. And then when you think you figured it out, no, you take it someplace else. And I thought, okay, this is good. This is good. And the surprises, the twists, just was really, really fun. It was really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the book takes place in Vegas.
Yes.
So I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting because so much goes on in Vegas, especially when you're talking about crimes and lies and deceit. And I did read in your bio that you spent a lot of your life in Las Vegas.
I did. I worked and lived in Las Vegas for about 15 years. And I was in a prominent marketing role. From everything that you can possibly imagine especially when I was in PR, because it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week business. You're never really off. Things happen that are terrible. Things happen that are very exciting and glamorous. And then there's a lot that you see that just is part of the madness that makes up this incredibly glittery city.
Yeah. Behind closed doors, it's something else, though. But you really put the reader in Vegas. I felt like I was right there, with the characters. And I thoroughly enjoyed the book. Now, when you started writing Summer's Blood, I discovered after reading it that this is book 1 in a series. And the series is called Neon Diaries, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When you started writing Summer's Blood, did you plan on it being a series, or you just decided that when you were writing? How did that come about?
Well, so interestingly, Summer's Blood is attached to the same universe as the first series, which was a different genre. I call it romantic dramedy, but the first series is Truth, Lies, and Love in Advertising. I took the main character from the book that this one is the sequel to, but I didn't want the same type of story. I was focused on the conflict of my main character's relationship through that first series. And so when I wrote Summer's Blood, it was really a matter of taking the story was always there. So the death of DJ was established in Princess Smile, which was the first book of that series. And and then in For Position Only, Craig is the narrator. It's written in first person, as is Summer's Blood, from his voice. Mm-hmm. And rather than do anything else to their relationship, I put them in a different situation. And I took the mystery of what happened to his brother, and I thought, let's delve into that. And you're an author. It's always a matter of what if.
Yes.
you keep asking the question, what if? And then it spawns a whole new story. And so writing this book, I already had in mind that it would be a series of 3. I'm currently working on book 2. I'm about 2/3 of the way through that. And it will be a continuation. Different characters, new characters who are in this book will be pushed into like main characters. And then you'll still have some of the folks from Summer's Blood as well, but it will also be this whole series will be a thriller.
And you think it's going to be 3 books or more?
3.
It's going to be 3.
So I mean, 3 for now.
Yeah, I know. When I started writing one of my series, I thought it'd be just a couple of books. It ended up being 8 books and a short prequel.
Wow. Okay.
So you just never know. I'm not sure how when you do your writing, are you a pantser or do you like to plot your books?
So I was a pantser for the first 3 books in that series. I always know what's going to happen, at the end, how the story is going to roll out, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. And that's the pantser part where it's kind of the magic of writing, where you do it a little as it goes. You get greater ideas. The characters go off and do things. But for Summer's Blood, I had to outline. I forced myself to write a very, a thorough outline. However, what I did was I left myself some leeway to change a lot of the plot. And so the ending, I want to say I changed the ending of Summer's Blood like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, wow.
I was satisfied with it. Yeah. I had something totally different. I had, there's a death at the end. There's stuff, and that some of that stuff didn't happen. And but I always, when you're done with the book, right? And you have your beta readers and you have everybody and you have your own thought of what it's going to be. And then, but I did really, really adhere to an outline. It just changed quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah, I was very pleased with the ending. I was satisfied. Right. No one answered questions. A lot of this, the surprise. Some readers say they have favorite characters when they read a book, and for me, the one that stood out was Skylar. She
good.
Just, I don't know. I got a kick out of her. I just got a kick out of her. When you write your books, do you let the characters kind of unfold their personalities, their traits? Or you said that you tried to plot this book or plan this book prior to writing it. As for Skylar, who just stood out for me, just it's like, wow, okay. But did you kind of she was a character. I mean,
she was outlandish.
She really was. And I chuckled at a few of the things that she did and said. Just wow, okay. But anyway, did you intend for her to be this way, or did you plot it, her whole personality? And I'm just curious, because when I write books, the characters kind of unfold when I'm writing. And again, that's a surprise to me because I'm a pantser. So I have no idea what this character has in store for me. And Skylar would be just a fun character to write. She really would.
So, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you like Skylar, because you're going to see her a lot.
Oh, good.
You're going to see her, that character. She really captivated me too. I wasn't, But what's interesting is what you said. And I am a lot of a pantser when it comes to the characters. I do write. I mean, we all do as writers. We write up a backstory and, just so we know that this is what they're going to say. This is how they're going to act in this situation. We have to know that as authors. We have, our characters are very clear and fully developed. But with Skylar, she was, I thought of the family overall, and I thought, she's not going to be like Craig's daughter, Annabelle. She's not going to be a goody two shoes type person. She's got to have some grit because of the story of her life that actually didn't exist in my other books, but that, suddenly she's this character. What is she going to be like? And I just try to make them all realistic, and not all, happy. And, like you said, she's rough. She's had a rough background, and you find out more of that backstory in the forthcoming novel.
Oh, exciting. I'm happy to hear that, because she is the one that just popped out to me, and her personality, her language, that's as far as I'm going to go. It was just fitting for her background.
Right.
You understood from her background why she was the way she was. But also was surprising too, and I don't think giving too much away, is she wasn't stupid. She was not stupid. And that was
surprise.
Yeah. And
she was brilliant.
I know that, but you think when you see a person in her lifestyle, her attitude, her disrespect for adults, whatever, you would think that she's also not very smart.
Right.
She really surprised me in that field too. So well done.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to hear that she's going to be in the next book. And I do want to point out, you said there's going to be 3 books. These obviously would have to be read in order, correct?
I'm doing them in order now. I mean, interestingly, I wrote Princess Smile, which in the earlier series, it was Princess Smile, Camera Ready, and then 4 position only. Camera Ready was the first one I published. And so it was kind of like in the Star Wars method of 2, 3, 1, because Princess Smile was the last book of that series. And that was actually the prequel to all of, everything that went on in the other books. So I don't know that I would do that. I could do that here, but right now the book 2 is a sequel. It's time-wise, it's after Summer's Blood by a number of years. Okay. And, it's going to be set in Las Vegas again. So, I go back to Vegas and try to keep current on what goes on there and that's always fun, is to do my research trips, right? When you're an author is.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the fact that you lived there 15 years, it shows in your writing that you do know the city.
I know the city, but I also know the business, and that's the business that they're in. They're in the casino business. And that's where I spent all my time on the Strip doing, and knowing that business and knowing the marketing side of the business. So I like to include a lot of what I know in the story. And I have had comments on Summer Blood from folks who I worked with years ago. And they were very complimentary, like, you nailed the industry and you nailed Las Vegas. And so I like to have a lot of verisimilitude in my writing, because I want it to feel real, happening in real time, happening at the right pace, and also to be informed by what I know. And if I don't know it, I am a big research person. So yeah, I talk to people, I interview people, I go to places, that.
But yeah, because if you fail on your research, a reader will point you out.
Absolutely.
They will call you out on it. My last book took me to 3 states that I'd never been to.
Oh, and wow.
I had to do I enjoyed it. And now I want to go to those states, because I want to go to these states. But the other thing too is, like, I love reading historical fiction. It's one of my favorite genres. But being an author, I know I'll never write it, because the research just scares me. It's like, I read many historical fiction authors, and they spend a year doing the research, because it has to be so thorough, whether it just be the clothes, the names in that era, the food that they ate. So
The
the
dialogue, right?
It is scary. With Summer's Blood, did you have a title do you have a title for your books prior to writing your stories, or does it come to you as you're writing?
Great question. I have, with all my books, I've had a working title that was no good. and, then, and then like awful, like, oh, this is not a good, why, but I keep it that way until it comes to me.
Mm-hmm.
And as you saw, because you read the book, that title came from something that was a little bit obscure or something that maybe was unexpected to the reader, but it made so much sense because it was a real, Summer's Blood, that the whole backstory behind that was part of the revelation that we find out at the end. So yeah, that name came late. That came late. But yeah, I always have a working title. Like I have a working title for book 2 now, and I'm just not convinced that it's the right one, but it may be. People are saying, oh, that's a really good title.
My title right now is New Book.
Oh, is that what you do? You just call it I put book 5.
Yeah, New Book until it comes. And it's the only one that says New Book, so I know that's the one I'm working on. But yeah, I don't have a title yet. But yeah, I'm always intrigued with titles and how they, connect to the book. And I'm always looking, as I'm reading, okay, where does this title come in? And like you said, Summer's Blood, I made the connection later in the story. And it was great. It's brilliant. But as I was thinking, like, okay, how do we get Summer's Blood here? I want to know. And that's another reason what kept me engaged in the book is the purpose for your title. And it's a great title. I love short titles for a book.
I do too.
I do.
I do too.
I love short title. And the other thing I like, your dialogue is excellent. And I'm a biggie on dialogue in books. I love dialogue in book, but only if it's written well.
Mm-hmm.
And yours is written very, very well, because what I love about dialogue, you can get so much as far as emotions from the dialogue, not just in what they're saying, but how you're expressing the body language as they talk, whether it be the tone of the voice, the way they're sitting. We all, like now, I'm moving my hands. We don't just sit like cardboards when we talk. We're always doing something when we talk. And I love to see those expressions in dialogue because that gives me the mood of the character.
Absolutely. One of the things that I do is when I'm writing dialogue, there are 2 things actually. I always say it out loud. Sometimes I write with my mouth open. I'm literally saying it as I'm writing it and then the other thing that I do sometimes is just take off the who it's attributed to. So if it's Craig said something or his mother said something or Skylar said something, I take the names off and I try to see whether it sounds like the person who I've created without saying who said it. And so that's kind of how I do that. I want it to sound natural, and I edit. I'll go back and find a piece of dialogue and be like, oh, that sounds so stiff. Nobody said, because you got to say it out loud. It's like, okay, and they're having a conversation. Where are they? Are they in a meeting? Well, then it's going to be a little bit, scripty and stiffer. Are they just sitting around? Are they in a really tense moment? Like, how is that going to affect what they say and how they say it? And it's as a writer, it's a very it's not easy, but it's got to sound authentic.
It's got to be natural. Like you said, reading out loud is perfect. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of dialogue, but not over the top. You have to know when to put your dialogue, for me anyway, put your dialogue into your story, but don't make a whole chapter just, a screenplay. It's how I call it. But I think dialogue, if written well, really is a huge asset to any book. And like I said, I really enjoyed your dialogue. I felt that every character, when they spoke, had their distinguished voice. And of course, I'm going back to Skylar. Every time Skylar spoke, I couldn't get enough of it. It's like, okay, come on, girl. What you got now? So I really enjoyed her dialogue. I really did.
I'm so glad, because you're actually probably the first person who's focused on her, and I love it.
I think because number one, she was when she first came into the book, my attitude was like, who the hell is this girl? It's like, good God, and but but I wanted to get to know her, like we talked about. Why is she like this? Why is she so disrespectful? And there's many reasons why I kept wanting to turn the pages. And when I met Skylar, it's like, okay, girl, I kept calling her girl, Skylar, why are you being this way? But there's a reason why, like we said before, why she acted this way. But as she progressed into the story, she was a huge asset to,
yes, she was,
to the I don't want to give it away, to what was going on. And that was a surprise in itself. So she was just very brilliantly well developed, and I have to say, she was my favorite character. And I'm excited that she's in the next book.
She's there very much in the next book. I had to choose who I was going to focus on and how I was going to develop that story. I'm writing it. The new book is from the third person, kind of a limited point of view, but because all my other books were written in first person through the character. Mm-hmm. But I have two very prominent characters from Summer's Blood that you'll see a lot of. And yes, one of them is Skylar. So
good. I'm excited. Well, I'll be reading the next book, that's for sure. What, do you have a release date for the next book?
No, because the Summer's Blood took me years. And I had a lot of things going on, just like we moved across the country, like all kinds of stuff that kind of takes you away from your book and just real life takes you away from, but I imagine that this book, because it's been going very quickly for me, it will probably, be like, I'm hoping within the next year. That this
nice. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I don't rush things because, obviously we want it to be great and you don't want to disappoint anybody who's enjoyed this book. You want to make it even better.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Give them something to look forward to.
Yes. It's fun. It's fun. I don't know how you feel about you get right. To me, it's such a passion. I just love to create these characters and these books, right?
I love it. And I get frustrated. Like right now we have the holidays, Thanksgiving, we have Christmas. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bah humbug. I enjoy family. I enjoy the holidays, but it takes me away from my writing, and it's like, and we got a new puppy, Jack. Sweetest little Brittany. He's 9 months old now, but it's been 16 years since I had a puppy. My other
goodness.
And it's like, oh my God, I've forgotten how much attention and time and they take out of my day. But it's like, okay, but I love him to bits. But
a ball of energy.
The energy level, the mischievousness, I want your sock, I want your slipper, and it's like just like, oh my God, I want to go right. But I love him to bits. But it's just like,
Now you have to tell me what kind of dog
he takes. But we love him. We love him to bits. Yeah. But yeah, because I'm a pantser, I love sitting down, not knowing what's going to happen next. I just love that about writing. I tried to plot one book and my character, Eve, said I would never do that. This is what I would do. I said, okay, fine. I will never, ever try and plot a book again. And it turned out brilliant because me trying to force a story just didn't sound natural. I listened to Eve and it sounds crazy, but they talked to me in my head and I just let her lead the way. Yeah, it happens, right?
So all the time, all night.
Yeah. And I won't argue with them. Okay, if this is what you're going to do, then I'm just the keyboard here. Tell me what you're going to do. But I love that part about writing. I do want to ask why Skylar? But is there any characters in your books that are based on people you know?
I get that question a lot. And no, okay, so what I do, and a lot of authors do this. We are keen observers. We can observe, I'll be sitting in a conversation or a meeting even, and I'm not listening to what's going on. I'm kind of watching how the people are interacting. I'm looking for affectations. A lot of my characters, some of them are composites of many. Some of them have idiosyncrasies that come from me that I just say, oh, well, let me see if I make this go over the top. How is this going to present itself in this character? But the thing with my books, since they are a series, the characters come and are spawned from the series. So it's almost like the characters are part of the story that I've already started a long time ago. And now they're coming out, they're emerging. And like somebody like Skylar, I don't know I don't know where she came from. I don't know anybody like her. I kind of wish I do. I wish I knew her. I mean, she's kind of a complex person, and especially, in the new book, but yeah, I try to just make them who they are, but they're all people who are unique and not, I don't think I've ever had somebody say, oh, that person is this person. We all knew that person. It's never like that. And I like it that way because it really allows you to be creative and come up with something really original, right?
That's true. That's very true. And then with Craig, his personality. I don't know how to describe Craig because he's telling the story, but I will say he did annoy me at times.
Oh, tell me how he annoyed you.
He annoyed me with his weakness. It's like, Craig, be a man, but then you see why. His background compared to DJ's, there's a reason why. And I can say what I liked about Craig, and this is what also I wrote in my review, is his love for his wife, Jane, his love for his wife. And you made that shine through the pages. And that's what I respected, because there's no doubt in your mind as you're reading the book how much he was dedicated to his wife, just 100%. And that is one thing I loved about Craig, is his focus was his family, period. There was no direction. His focus was his family. And then what happened was just tearing him apart just throughout the whole ordeal. And I don't want to say what happened because it's giving away the book. But there was times in the book when with Craig, it's like, Craig, man up. Just
man up. You're not the only one to have told me that. The thing with Craig is he came off of the 4-position only he was my main character the first time in that book, and he was despicable. He started as a very despicable man with this survivor's guilt over what happened, but wealthy and privileged and a womanizer and awful. And I spent that book with him in therapy because I wanted him to be a better person. And so this book, I'm like, I don't want him to go backward. He's a good guy, but he's in many ways, because I feel like I have 2 protagonists in this book.
You
right? Do. There's 2 protagonists, and the protagonist, the second one emerges, pretty early on, but that character really took over, in my opinion. And we were really watching his arc, the new character that became the protagonist, co-protagonist, I say, or maybe Craig was more of a narrator at that point, but he was telling the story. I really, really felt as though the character's development was really focused on the other character, because Craig's character evolved over the previous book. So yeah, he probably needed to man up a little.
and I have not read the previous books, so I don't know the before Craig. Maybe I should read this. I had no idea that your previous series was connected to this one. So that's interesting to know.
My favorite book, Summer's Blood has crept up as one of my favorites now, but the 4-position only was the book that if it's a romance. I mean, it really is if you have to look at the BISAC category, that is a full on romance, complete with a Hollywood ending. But it's one of my favorite books because it was really a character study and a deep redemption tale of Craig. And so so it's interesting to hear you say about his personality. It was kind of a delicate balance because I didn't want him to be sappy or wimpy, but I didn't want him to go back to who he was. So I was trying to balance it out. But if you do read that book, I'd love to hear what you thought.
Yeah, what is it called again? I'm sorry.
It's called 4-Position Only.
Okay, now if someone had never heard of you before and they want to read one of your books, is this the one you would recommend to them?
It depends on what you like, because those books, again, different genre. If you're a thriller mystery reader and you like a lot of action, Summer's Blood. But if you're gonna if you want like a more of a romantic story that has a lot of intrigue, those books are set in Los Angeles, which is where I grew up. If I was going to pick one of those books, I love For Position Only, but the other two books were told in the character of Jane.
Oh, okay.
And it's really like all about their relationship. The conflict was Jane and Craig throughout all those books. But my favorite of those books is For Position Only.
It's good to know. I am.
A long way of saying that.
I want to see how far Craig came. So you've got me intrigued just on that.
Oh, he's pretty bad from page 1.
No, not Craig.
He's a pretty awful, devilish individual.
Interesting. So. I had no idea. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I mean, this 30 minutes goes by really quick, but before we end, can you just let readers know where they can find you, the best places to find you and your books?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on, Tina. This has been fun. Yes, you can find me at adelroyce.com. And my books are available. You can read all about the characters. You can read all about the books, and they can be purchased there. I'm also on all the social media channels, all the usual suspects. But yeah, my website's probably the best central place to browse around.
There you go. And now your books are available on print. Are they on Kindle or Kindle Unlimited or wide?
They're available on Kindle. For right now, I had them. They're available in all formats. So they're print, hardcover, audiobooks, and Kindle. So,
well, excellent, Adele. This has been a joy. Thank you so much for writing a great book. And I will be checking out. What is it for Position 4? Is that what it was called again?
For Position Only.
For Position Only. I thought I had it. And please keep us posted on when the next book comes out.
I will. Thank you so much. This has been a delight.
Thank you for listening to Online for Authors, where I, Terry M. Brown, author of character-driven fiction and host of the podcast, introduce readers to characters they'd love to invite to lunch. Tune in next Tuesday for another podcast episode.